And also I have to notice within the context of all societies, that would be general rule. But here now that we have zoomed specifically Israel and very much attached to remains of old Macedonian Empire that have somehow obviously split here from Roman imperialism, I have to notice that there is some common denominator on two in these two identities, and that is what prevails more on side of Judah, or if we bring this in context Adam and Eve, they would be in category Eve. And here I recognize a mental illness, not just being present, but also going next level in some kind of own mental design that becomes even society of these hidden affairs, and in the same time appears as a conspiracy, biggest conspiracy on the planet at the moment, very often associated even with Nazism. And that is where we find this duality in this entire scenography and this entire theater called earlier civilization of this planet, where we need to now zoom further into noticing what Jewish people, what group of Jewish people versus what group of Jewish people, how that polarizes in times, and is there some more straightforward line, or we talk about accidental happenings in all of the historic times. But I will notice that this unite that I am going to notice now surrounding me have very much appears very much in category 69. And even to be even worse, that there are certain circles out there that are have noticed that as such, as some kind of cake protocol, and that they literally relate to this entire event as to some kind of cake or as to some kind of ball. So we have here a Russian babushka protocol, a realm into a realm, house into a house, and from Russian perspective, one that is situated higher would oversee everyone else. I'm afraid that that literally might be the case in this case scenario, and that as a result we have powerfully Russians sitting out there with their promise to oil derivation. It is obviously very much, I'm absolutely confident that they have in perspective exactly the 69 protocol. And that is where we are going to find the entire Balkan and Palestine and Israel in that combo that would be combo 69, on which the planet is still very much playing their any greater, any more significant historical ball, and having their betting on the outcome of it, not really trying to get too much involved, but rather using the entire phenomenon as its own phenomenon on which they build their realm further on. Somewhere here I'm going to notice on such premises would emerge Roman imperialism, would emerge out of ashes of the previous, and very much always calculative to the previous. And that is where we are going to find Roman imperialism that sits still in America and profoundly defines USA as we speak, having common denominator with Russians. They are relating to the same event in different way. While Russians are relating to the same event from perspective of little Jesus of house, a little house of Jesus, and still hold to the religion. and hierarchical approach to even imperial protocol, which of course they don't want to unveil into details. On the other side, we have a Roman imperialism that similarly are playing the ball in all of this time. In very specific perspective to very specific territories, and their presence in the region continue to be very much surrounding that ball of events. They would never like to lose, because in substance entire Roman imperialism emerged out of opportunism built while running away from the previous, literally while emerging out of the ashes of the previous. Therefore, the answer to what is Roman imperialism here is not that simple, but it is, I'm very sure, correct one I am providing here. Now, how to draw the line on personal level? It's very hard to draw the line of personal level. It is certainly very much everything polarized on basins, and to which basin you would end up belonging. Either the victim or the victimizer. And I'm very sure, and I am confident that today that has become a question to any person in this world. And yes, correct, that would bring us to the origin of the notions morale and ethics, as I'm being here suggested. Correct, when you decode the words moral, or the one that has to do something, and that is to what it comes translated, and ethics is ethic. It's a combination, Macedonian English combination. Yes, it is very much a reference to Adam and Eve, a very much a reference to either Serbia and Macedonia or Israel and Palestine. So we have here actually Adam and Eve protocol. We have here plus and minus protocol, and someone using this as a principal battery still to inflame the planet. Basically, that is the method to inflame the planet. 69 or 69 equally represent actually two opposites. That is plus and minus, or Adam and Eve. That connects to yin and yang of Far East countries. I'm sorry, but I have to say, despite the fact that I have my favorites in all of this presentation, that inevitably would at some point be, would have certain elements of some kind of political preferences, at least if not more. I have to be much more here objective, because we are scanning the planet today in intention to move forward as a world for the benefit of all, I would not say benefit, for the good of all of us. It is in a way self-examination. It is in a way looking in the mirror of the past times. It's going through the mirror and finding yourself in the past times, literally. We are doing today the soul search of our past, and I will have to notice that this entire phenomenon reminds very much to yin and yang concept of Far East countries, of Buddhism, of Far East countries. Now, how what there is reference to health, and much more logical and realistic reference to inward and outward energy of a human being. And in everything that we do here, we have, if we are the most balanced person, it would be 50%, 50% inward, 50% outward person. How that became Adam and Eve, a positive and negative, and a recommendation for creating energetic vibe, or explosion or fire on central territories. How that all of a sudden translated into something so military, so political, so negative, so damaging, so negative, so devilish. If the previous is reference to God, the second is reference to devil affairs. How that happened? What also here happens on the territory, especially Serbia, Macedonia, is that we have to notice something being very zooming further into more specifics, where we have especially certain basins located where the population, which is being called Shqiptari or Albanians, it is being used reference very discriminatory and in reference to second-class citizenship, literally like when you're saying gypsies. So that is how it goes. Shqiptari or Albanians are being referred similar as how gypsies would be referred in other nations. Very much discriminatory and very much humiliating, in very much humiliating manner. Now we have here also strong difference between the category of population. Usually the population that gets is being brought from more nomadic territories, as it is Afghanistan or Mongolia, such terrains would come very much as nomadic population, and these are more city defined territories. So it becomes very much conflicting and become matter of differentiation between the population. There is one kind of population that thrive to reach some kind of New York, Washington standards, and then they constantly get these Afghanistani or Mongolians, this tribunal, highly nomadic population, and become very much annoying that you for God's sake, for example, when you go in some kind of New York environment or Washington environment, now you find this nomadic people there. So it is triggering racism, but racism has been triggered because of different lifestyle. That is the basis to any racism. Technically, is different lifestyle, different class of society, different categorization of societies. But what in this case scenario should also be noticed that these people have been dragged there so they can be used as for work, for jobs that the local population is not willing to accept. Either it is agriculture, majorly agriculture, but also any other kind of jobs that population, the prime principal population, would not accept to do. So that is classical case scenario as in other territories. Here, of course, it's going further. That is to be noticed that in this case scenario we have that monstrous approach where brother is going against its own brother, and it is using secret methods to stab him in the back. So we have here a protocol of extraction or excavation of its own local population, where in order to be hidden the real face of the one that is extracting, are being used intermediaries, so it doesn't look as you have direct family event, actually, where within the same family members, certain members become actually exploited by other kind of members. That is to what it comes. It comes to this level of conflicting positions that we have within the protocol human, where it is beyond religious polarization, beyond cultural or terrain polarizations. We talk here about Adam and Eve. We talk here about person that does have capacity to create wealth and group of people that plug onto that person as some kind of vampires to suck life energy out of it. So that indicates very low, very prime setting of the societies, very early organization of societies, very prime and very predatory. And it is absolutely unacceptable that in 21st century, certain territories, as it is Russia, for example, but also no less Americans, continue to promote that level of economy, and they continue to call it economy, while actually in substance we have complete predatory protocol. It's not enough to say predatory, that is monstrous protocol, monstruosity. And I'm very sure that that is to do something with South America, especially with South America, because we notice that that something is being embodied in Maya cultural setting, in cultural setting of Mayas. Here it comes influence of Spain and Latin countries more than we have noticed, more than we have noticed their presence in Europe, their presence in building regime in Yugoslavia, for example. But not less that red color of socialism and communism was going all the way to China. Yes, to China and to Russia. And while we were all thinking that that is to do something with China, actually, we have to revise now, is it not that we are talking about red colors of Mayas? Because what's going on in the substance of this entire fabric of oil exploitation that become very much predatory and goes into embryo of the families itself, it is actually the practices that have been employed in Mayas. Yes, literally in Mayas. So there is a book that I'm going to recommend that explain very clearly about exactly such practices employed within old civilizations of South American Maya-related countries. That will reveal the history of Europe very much happening in different ways than how we have noticed it altogether. I am not willing here to focus blame to one point, to one territory. I'm rather looking after a responsibility, collective responsibility, for tolerating something like that for a longer period of time, and for the fact that people in their collective settings were so easy to accept something like that. In any given time, it can fall on our land from the sky, whatever it can fall, from wherever. But are we so much easy to accept such things? Are we so weak in filtering what we are going to accept to be profound definition of our entire systems without questioning such elemental, basic, humane questions? And how can this planetary population, continue to be so resilient to this conversation and to this awakening I'm talking about, and so easier to walk with the devilship on the other side of the equation? I found myself in these 15 years isolated, demonized for talking about these matters. And the majority of the population continue to walk as a lambs, as a goats, and as the rest on the other side of the equation. Again, I found confirmation of the notion of citizenship, and how easy it is on this planet to implement whatever, even if that means that humanity starts consuming each other as we are step away from there. You are not capable to step away from it. That is what I have to notice here, and that is what is much more alarming to me than what some prime societies at some corner of the planet have been believing into at a point of time. What is more impressive, or rather demonizing, alarming, whatever, is that you notice how far and how easy it was to spread such practices as a virus. And everyone talk about virus spreading from China, as China is the only red color territory. Why no one talks about spreading the virus from South America when we all know, a good percentage of people know, that that is originating and associated with Mayas? Name of the book, The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield.